The story's second chapter begins now. The focus shifts to Takaki's new life. He has moved far away and joined a new school. While the story is not about a love triangle, a subtle one does emerge. In his new school, Takaki meets a girl named Kanai. The first time she saw him walk into class, something about him caught her attention. Over time, she developed a quiet crush on him. Kanai was not the type to openly express her feelings, so instead, she would steal glances at Takaki from a distance. Eventually, she mustered the courage to start talking to him. Takaki, too, found Kanai to be a kind and genuine person, so he would occasionally chat with her. Takaki had also taken up a new activity, archery. Every day, he attended his practice sessions, and without fail, Kanai would wait for him to finish, hoping to spend a little more time with him. Takaki and Kanai had fallen into a routine. They would often go home together, riding their scooters side by side. Takaki didn't mind Kanai's company. In fact, he appreciated having someone to share the road with. Kanai often noticed that Takaki was always typing messages on his phone. However, she never knew who he was messaging. As their school life was nearing its end, most of the students had already decided on their future plans. But Kanai had not. She was someone who lived in her own thoughts, uncertain about what lay ahead. Her parents and teachers tried guiding her, offering career counseling and advice. Yet, Kanai remained undecided, lost in a whirlwind of emotions. One evening, she waited for Takaki as usual, but he never arrived. After waiting a long time, she decided to leave. As she rode along the road, she spotted Takaki's scooter parked nearby. Looking up, she saw him sitting alone on a hill, typing something on his phone. Curious and slightly anxious, Kanai climbed up to join him. She sat beside him and asked, "What will you do after we graduate? Do you have any plans?" Takaki, without much emotion, replied, "I'll go to Tokyo. I'll find a college there and enroll. Beyond that, I haven't really thought about it." Hearing this, Kanai felt a deep sadness. She had always feared that one day Takaki would go far away from her, and now it was happening. She hadn't even figured out her own future, and yet he was already planning to leave. Feeling foolish, she quietly admitted to herself, "How naive I was to think things would stay the same." Sensing her disappointment, Takaki reassured her, "It's not just you. I don't know what I'm doing either. I feel lost all the time. In that sense, we're alike." Then, for the first time, the truth about Takaki's phone was revealed. All those times he had been typing messages, he had never actually sent them to anyone. Instead, he had been pouring his heart out, writing messages meant for only one person, Shinohara. But each time, after writing them, he would simply delete them. The story then shifts to the past, revealing that after moving to the island, Takaki did receive letters from Shinohara in the beginning. However, as time passed, those letters gradually stopped coming. As time passed, Shinohara's letters became less frequent, and eventually they stopped altogether. Takaki realized that she had likely moved forward in her life, and he didn't want to disturb her. Yet despite this understanding, he had never been able to forget her. Not a single day went by without him thinking about her. Even in his dreams, she was always there. His entire life had been shaped around the thought of her. Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to Kanai. She had gone to the ocean to practice surfing, something she had been attempting for 6 months without success. Her older sister once again asked her, "Have you even thought about what you want to do with your life?" Kanai simply repeated the words Takaki had once told her. "I don't know what I want to do in the future, but I do know what I'm doing right now." She had decided to give her full effort to whatever was in front of her at the moment. Determined, she went back into the water. And this time, she finally managed to surf perfectly. With this newfound confidence, she realized she had gathered the courage she needed to finally confess her feelings to Takaki. That evening, the archery classes were about to end, and Takaki was expected to arrive soon. Kanai was growing increasingly anxious. How will I say it? How will I tell him? Her heart pounded as she struggled to find the right words. Takaki arrived, and as usual, they both started walking toward their scooters. But Kanai, overwhelmed with emotion, couldn't find the words to speak. Instead, she impulsively grabbed Takaki's shirt, pulling him back slightly. Surprised, Takaki turned to her and asked, "What's wrong? Tell me." But in that moment, Kanai lost all her courage. She couldn't bring herself to say it. Just as they were about to part ways, Kanai realized that her scooter had broken down. Seeing this, Takaki suggested, "Why don't we just walk home together?" And that was enough to make Kanai happy. Even if she couldn't confess her love, at least she got to spend a little more time with him. As they started walking together, neither of them spoke. A strange silence lingered between them. Kanai didn't know what to say or how to say it. When she couldn't bring herself to confess, the weight of her emotions became unbearable, and tears welled up in her eyes. She tried her best to hold them back, but she couldn't. She started crying. Takaki noticed and asked, "What happened? Are you okay?" Kanai quickly wiped her tears and replied, "No, it's nothing." But Takaki could see she wasn't fine. He gently pressed again. "Please, tell me what's wrong." Inside her mind, Kanai was screaming, "Forgive me! Why are you always so kind to me? I beg you, either stay close to me or leave me completely." At that very moment, a rocket launch appeared in the night sky. It looked like a shooting star, soaring into the vast darkness. Kanai, overwhelmed, simply stared at it in silence. They continued walking, and soon they reached the point where Kanai had to turn toward her home. She stopped, watching Takaki as he kept walking ahead. That was when she realized there was nothing in his heart for her. He wasn't stopping. He wasn't even turning back. For Takaki, Kanai was nothing more than a good friend. That's why he never gave her any false hopes, never spoke words that carried deeper meaning. Kanai finally made a decision. Since she wasn't important to him, there was no reason to confess her feelings. She would never tell Takaki that she loved him, but at the same time, she knew she could never stop loving him. With these thoughts consuming her, Kanai fell asleep. And just like that, the second part of the story came to an end. The story now moved to its third and final part. 5 centimeters per second. By this time, the year was 2008. Takaki had moved to Tokyo, where he was working as a successful developer. But no matter how much time had passed, the most important part of his life was still Shinohara. He had never been able to forget her. Even now, he kept writing messages for her, only to delete them over and over again. At the same time, Takaki had become even more lost in his own thoughts. His depression had deepened to the point where it consumed his entire life. Before, he had only felt a little distant. But now, he was completely detached from everything. His personal life had fallen apart. It was revealed that he had a girlfriend who had been with him for the past 3 years. She had tried to stay by his side, but he had never truly let her in. She finally texted him, telling him that it was over. She couldn't keep feeling alone in a relationship anymore. But Takaki, he didn't care. He felt nothing. In fact, he had already quit his job and was now just working from home. Sitting in his apartment all day, he sank deeper into his depression. "I feel so lost. Everything looks dark to me. Everything feels empty. I don't even know where I am anymore. I don't know what I'm doing." The scene then shifts to Shinohara. After so many years, she had finally returned to her hometown. As she unpacked some of her old things, she came across something unexpected: her childhood letter to Takaki. As soon as she read it, memories came rushing back. For the first time in a long time, she thought deeply about him. She missed him terribly. She remembered how truly happy she had been when she was with Takaki as a child. And now, was she happy? Not really. For a brief moment, she wondered, should I go see him? At the same time, both Takaki and Shinohara had the same dream. In their dreams, they were together, standing under the same cherry blossom tree where they had last met. Years ago, they had promised to see the cherry blossoms together again. Meanwhile, Shinohara had moved on. She was now engaged, and her wedding was approaching. She had gone to Tokyo for wedding shopping. As her train passed through an old railway track, she suddenly realized this was the same place where, as a child, she had once seen cherry blossoms falling from a tree. At that exact moment, Takaki was also passing by the same railway track. They were right in front of each other. So close, yet so far. But they didn't recognize each other. Neither of them looked directly at the other. Instead, they just felt something. A strange, unexplainable feeling. A light sensation in their hearts, as if they knew someone important was nearby. And then, just like that, they crossed paths. One walked in one direction, the other walked the other way. After taking a few steps, both of them turned around, as if their hearts told them to check who that person was. But before they could see each other, a train passed between them. Takaki stood there, watching the train go by. By the time it was gone, Shinohara had already left. Takaki simply smiled, a soft, knowing smile, as if he knew that it was her. And with that, the movie ends. Just like I said earlier, this movie ends in an instant, leaving us with endless possibilities to think about. If you want a happy ending, you could imagine that Takaki and Shinohara somehow meet again in this city and finally stay together. Or maybe Takaki eventually moves on and ends up with Kanai. Or perhaps all three of them continue living their lives alone, carrying the memories of their past love. The ending is open, left for us to decide. So guys, how did you feel about this emotional movie? In many ways, it's a story that today's generation can deeply relate to. Sometimes we love someone, but fate never lets us be together. So let me know what you thought about the movie. See you in the next one. Until then, take care.